Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Willington Board of Education meeting on Tuesday, October 8th, 2024. We are calling the meeting to order at exactly 7 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, hold on one second. I just want to make sure because I don't want to be on camera all night long.
No problem.
So I'm not sure why that's frozen to me. Can you just mute and unmute that again?
Hi, welcome. Still you. Hi, Brianna. You look a little bit different
Yes.
this evening.
Hey, Brianna, let's walk over, buddy. Follow me over here.
It's
Why
nice.
is this stuck? Turn off your camera for a second.
It's great.
Oh.
Thank you.
Right back to you.
Meeting now. So. It does like me apparently.
Really?
Never had that happen before.
Yeah.
It is.
On power cycle.
Okay, there's your panel for people that want to see the panel.
Can you log in?
Hmm?
Did you log in again?
That's right. My first step in IT.
Perfect. Okay, now.
It's got me.
Okay, I'm turning it on. All right, see if you start talking to me. See, it should be, okay, like me again. All right, so try again.
No, I'm not usually one to hog the spotlight. No.
No.
Am I just that loud?
What?
Maybe.
I
No,
don't think
because
it's
it was picking up her voice on the.
On my side now. Oh, it's off.
Yeah, that's because I just muted off my phone.
There we go.
Hi. Thanks.
It's got volume off.
Is it gonna be stuck here the rest of the time? That's good.
Yeah, my phone's connected to it.
Thanks for your patience, everybody. For those of you who can't see, we've got a pretty packed house tonight, so they're being very patient.
We're just gonna do it quick. Can someone that is online just respond and let us know if you can hear Brianna when she talks, please?
Yes, I can hear her.
Thanks, Melissa.
All right, so maybe we'll be looking at me all night long also. Okay.
And they can stand over there. Hi, okay, well, welcome to the Willington Board of Education meeting. Again, it is Tuesday, October 8th. We called the meeting to order at 7 o'clock and then we enjoyed some technical gymnastics. So next we're gonna do the Pledge of Allegiance. We'd like to invite you to join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, that sounded super great tonight. Thank you all for coming. Okay, we are so excited to have our student representatives back from summer break, and we're thrilled to see you all here tonight. Thank you for agreeing to take on this position. It's really important. We love hearing from you. Which school will be reporting first this evening?
Center School, and I think Mrs. Cushing is gonna do some introductions first.
Yes.
Awesome.
So I have 3 of our 4 student representatives here. I have Arabella Holt, Cooper Hetlinger, and Emerson Sandus. Bridger Hart has a baseball game this evening, so he's disappointed, but he could be potentially pitching tonight, so we didn't want to take away from that. So I think Cooper's up first. You want to stand up?
Buzz,
Hold on, Mr. Stevens.
I'll scroll, but you just tell me when you want me to go to the next slide, okay?
Okay.
Perfect.
Buzz, the center school mascot, came to our first assembly. We learned all about our school rules, like how to behave in the bathroom, in the hallways, and on the bus. We had our Friday dance party, Too Happy with the Minions. We have a lot of new teachers at Center School. Mrs. Mitchell in second grade, Mrs. Vadierez in third grade, Mrs. Drakowski in fourth grade, Mrs. Willis and Mrs. K in the resource room, Mrs. Roskowski in the lunchroom. We practiced emergency drills and had presentations from Sergeant Justin wait, what? Cheney from Yukon with two service dogs, Tilly and Jasmine, and learned all about their jobs. We love our after-school program. We have snack play outside when the weather is nice, or play games in the gym or the cafeteria. What the night is this Wednesday. Parents can come and learn about our new reading program, our math curriculum, and what we are learning every day subject. We have an early dismissal this Friday for staff workshops. Our next Spirit Day will be October 17th. The theme is wear your Center School t-shirt. Safety patrol will start soon in fourth grade. Some of the things we need to work on includes walking quietly in the halls while people are working and acting with integrity. Last year in third grade, we learned that integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is looking. We talked about integrity every day, especially before lunch and recess. Thank you.
Great job, everyone. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Any questions for anything they shared?
Very cool, wonderful. All right, looks like we have some reps from Hall also here tonight.
So, for our representatives, we have returning, eighth graders Lauren Ross and Angus Breton, who are leading the charge. We have seventh graders, Aubrey Cook. Clara's not here. Cole's in sixth grade. Cole Viveros. We have Cole Tubbs, who's in, sixth grade. We have Jordan Marshall, and we have, Evelyn Ayers. So we have 3 from 7th, 3 from 6th, and 2 from 8th.
And are we good?
Is that over?
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah.
Awesome, welcome. Thank you all for taking on this role.
Who's got it?
So the first slide is just telling you the names of the students and the grades that they're in. When we asked teachers to recommend students, these students were unanimously and overwhelmingly recommended.
Nice.
Dan, I guess?
So eighth grade has 2 trips this year, which I'm guessing you probably know. Going to Washington DC, May 28th, and High Meadows sometime in mid to late June. For High Meadows, we've been selling pies. I've heard many good things that many people have been selling pies. And we will sell butter braids closer to Thanksgiving. And for Washington, we'll have a few bottle and can drives. And then we have a Munson's candy sale near Easter for families to buy and falls.
Great, thank you.
Nobody here is talking about clubs, but we have 70 students who have signed up, and we have the clubs that are listed. Art club, cricket club, which is learning how to use a cricket tool, drama, disc golf, GSA, jewelry making, and tabletop games.
So this is the first year that Hall has cross country as an option for students to sign up for. We have a great coach And cross country really isn't about winning for our team, it's about just improving and getting better.
Our next home meets tomorrow.
I'm talking about girls soccer for the 2024 season. And we have games every Tuesday and Thursday. 5.
We have practices on Mondays and Fridays from 2:45 to 4:15.
We have 24 players on the girls soccer team, and there are 3 coaches, Gary Anderson, Pat Lahane, and Lisa Ethan. Coach Pat and Coach Lisa are the assistant coaches.
So one thing I'm gonna chime in on is this is gonna be on your conversation tonight as far as budget for next year. If you drive by the field right now, it's looking pretty rough. Gary Anderson says we have the best goals in the state and the toughest field. It was reseeded, but it's gonna need some work, and that's something that you'll see on your budget lines when we make it to you.
From the Bulldogs, we're gonna be talking about boys soccer. The boys soccer team has games also on Tuesdays and Thursdays after school and practices on Mondays and Wednesday right after the drill practices. We have 15 players, grades 5 to 8, and our coaches are Mr. Ignatius Palumbo, Mr. Ignatius Palumbo Jr., and the assistant is Mr. Warren Brunny Sr. This year, both boys and girls soccer teams got brand new uniforms, and the shorts for the uniforms were donated by the Anderson family. Thank you to them for their generosity.
Every morning we have the morning news, and it's interesting to watch. It is taught and advised by Ms. Robolino, our library and media aide. Students participate during their win period. We write all the scripts, plan the segments, and report the news in the TV studio. Every day we report weather, talk about school lunch, and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. There are special segments throughout the week, such as Wednesday Wellness by Mrs. Pantiera and Feel Good Friday by Mrs. Fichonas. Students love the morning news, especially the funny segments and bloopers. On September 30th, students were given yonder pouches to keep their phones in throughout the day. Mrs. Fichonas has done one spot check in each grade so far. This is to be sure that the actual device is in the pouch. Students are dismissed to the lobby at dismissal and use one of the 3 magnets on the walls to unlock the pouches. The unit teachers help out if needed. Some students find the pouches distracting because they're trying to open them by banging the locks on tables, walls, desks, and other hard surfaces, and because they're new. I noticed that it was most distracting on the first day of using them, but it has kind of slowed down since then. And I think students are getting more used to them because we've had them for, a week. Another suggestion I and other people have talked about is to have the magnets on the stands in the lobby in the morning rather than only one portable magnet in the cafeteria, because some students don't get breakfast. Therefore, they have to go all the way up to the office to unlock their pouch in the morning, which is quite inconvenient, but
You want to demonstrate? Does somebody want to demonstrate? She's like, not me. Come on, somebody demonstrate. Do you want me to demonstrate?
I'll do it.
All right, Angus.
Good job, Angus.
So typically they have their ID code on the front.
So,
Phone's in there, locked. Beautiful. So we have, these are the magnets that are on the walls, good job, Angus. These are the pieces that unscrew, they don't live there during the day. And then this is the portable, so spot checks, things like that. Or if there's fire drills, things like that, all the magnets live in the office. So part of their emergency procedure is if there's something that is an emergency, all of those go outside, they can unlock pouches outside if they ever needed to. Anything else you want to say about magnets? You did it, so. And
no.
you saw how easy he did
I
it.
mean, the only thing that I would say is that sometimes it gets a little crowded
Yeah.
when we're trying to lock them, but.
I watch, and to that point, like I've watched on camera, MK knows this, just as to watch the flow, and it's sped up in the first couple of days, kids trying to figure things out, which makes sense. Now it's just, oh, press it, and it's relatively quick. We haven't noticed a difference in our busing, because I would hear from center school parents that there was, and we haven't seen it, so. Thank you.
Well, I just didn't know if anybody had any questions, they could certainly ask the students.
Yeah, I have a question. Since you first year for cross country and you have a home meet, what is your course? Where is your course?
The course is around well, actually, you tell them, you run it.
It's around the big field on the top where, the two nets are. Or, well, half around it, you go around that in like the loop, and then you go down to the lower field, do a circle around that. And then do the other half of the big field, go up, run down the sidewalk, and then run down the big hill around, one of the carports, and then around the like wood lines for the playground. And then back through like the, whatever they're called.
Pillars.
Yeah,
How long is it?
and you do it 4 times.
Just 2 point.
It's exactly 2 miles.
Too much.
And they have
Which is typical.
popsicle sticks that they
Yeah.
collect.
Right, but I'm just making sure it keeps them away from the road, that's all.
Oh, I don't, yeah, no, there's no roads. No, they're all within the field.
Keeps the shoes Mike.
And, I don't know if anybody here is on it, but if anybody's on the disc golf club, how's that going? That's,
It just starts tomorrow. Victor, ran disc golf last year as a gym class. And so he'll be doing, it as a club, so, yeah.
that's really cool.
He actually was able to get disc golf supplies through a grant last year for us.
Actually, that's really.
Been a great addition.
Thank you.
Wow, you did a good job explaining because we don't have a single question. Good. Thank you all very much. It really is a joy and pleasure to have you all here, and I hope that you have a great month. We'll see you again in November. Sound good? All right, awesome.
So this is your time where you can get.
Yeah. Thanks, parents.
Thank you. All right, let's go.
Thank you. You can hang on to it.
Thank you.
And it's next week.
Now. And my line, I'm big audience. And our cameras are good.
Hi. Can you hear me? Hey.
Oh, good. Well,
Okay, good. I'm glad you can hear me. I'm currently sitting in my car because we're out at my daughter's dance practice. But just wanted to hop on and give you guys some updates. Our MCM pie and cookie dough fundraiser is well underway. Thank you to those of you who have participated so far. We will be closing this fundraiser up on October 24th, and we will be distributing all goods on Tuesday, November 26th between the hours of 4:15 p.m. and 6:45 p.m. at Center Elementary School during parent-teacher conferences. So that's our pie and cookie dough fundraiser. We also have trunk or treat scheduled for Friday, October 25th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. with a rain date of Saturday, October 26th. The location will be at Center Elementary School this year. We are currently looking for more community members to sign up for a trunk. If somebody doesn't know what sign up for a trunk means, it just means bring your vehicle, decorate your trunk to whatever theme you'd like, and then pass out candy and or Halloween treats to all the kiddos. We are also looking for a few volunteers to help with setting up the event, parking vehicles, and cleaning up after the event. If interested, please let us know. We have links to sign up for trunks and volunteers to help with setup, parking vehicles, and cleanup in the digital backpack. So that's in the digital backpack and also located in the PTA Facebook group. Starting on Monday next week, we will have candy monsters, aka boxes decorated as monsters that will be used for candy donation bins located at CES, HMS, and at the Willington Public Library. If anyone would like to donate individually wrapped candy, that would be so helpful, as most vehicles do tend to run out of candy, as it's so hard to predict how the turnout will be each year. Last year we had between 250 and 300 kids. So last year was such a big event. So we have that for trunk or treat. And then just to bring up, because it's right around the corner, is our Election Day bake sale. Will be held Tuesday, November 5th. At the town offices from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. There will be a link in digital backpack this week and the following weeks to come, with a sign up link to either sign up for baked goods or manning the table. If anybody is interested in that, we would absolutely love to have you guys. And then our next PTA meeting will be this Thursday, the 10th, from 6 to 7 p.m. at the Willington Library. We would love to have you guys attend that as well. And yes, we will bribe you with food and drinks. So if anybody has any questions, please reach out to us at willingtonpta@gmail.com. And thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you. I heard pies, candy, cookies, snacks. Yes, thank you. You're so sweet to do all those things. Thanks a lot here. Okay, item 5 is present to speak. There is 0 people here in our audience, and so if there's anybody online who wanted to say something, you can go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll be sure to recognize you. Okay, well, you'll have another chance at the end, don't worry. We are moving on to communications. We have heard from Ms. Foltz, Ms. Draghi, Ms. Hinckley, Mr. Marshall, Ms. McKinnon, and Ms. Riveros. Were there any others to add to that list? Thank you all for your communication, whether you're really pleased with things, or you have questions about things, or you're not so pleased with things. We really appreciate your feedback. That's super important to this group. So keep sending in those things. We'll be reading it all and discussing it along the way. So thanks. Okay, we are on item 7, superintendent's report. Hit it.
So the first thing that's on there is the school repair presentation, October 10th. This is the flyer that went out, trying to keep the sound a little bit more controllable for people that are at, it's on Zoom too.
Yeah.
On Zoom. So the gym just did not work out last time. So we know we can fit at least 100 chairs in there. If we get 100 people, I'll be impressed. But it's Thursday night at 7 p.m. I will do another reminder of this blast again tomorrow. It really hits our families, but it went out through the town email system. It's on their website, it's on Facebook. It's pretty much anywhere where we can get that information out. So we tested the acoustics. Actually, the owl worked really well yesterday when we tested it out, but hopefully that's the same case. And it will be recorded for anybody that can't attend but wants to watch, which I did have someone ask me about that today. The student performance review, November 6th. The admin team is presenting a variety of student data that day. It's a special meeting. That's where it's going to be the Q&A with people. It's a Wednesday. It's at 6:30 p.m. We're still pulling all of our data together. It's coming along. We actually have a monster spreadsheet that we've pulled a lot of data from last year. We kept saying, hey, what if we added this? What if we separated out this? So literally the latest conversation was clubs and sports. Comparison of, you know, if you participate in a club, what did it look like compared to your scores? Was there a correlation that we could draw or not? So we're doing all those things, and that'll be again November 6th. And I hope it will be Zoom and in person. They stole my thunder. The HMS curriculum night already happened. CES is coming up tomorrow night. So we look forward to some folks there. We have PD on the 11th, which is the half day, and the full day on the 15th. The PD is professional development. It's really around curriculum amplify, which is the CKLA, illustrative math, and then some position specific items. counselors are doing some things. There's some special ed training for, physical management, things like that. So there's a huge calendar for all the staff members so they know where to go and what they're attending. The next item is budget priorities, and this is something that I think is, never too early to start talking about these things, whether it's the board or community. We're already starting to talk about these things, needs. So if you have any specific feedback or community members have specific feedback about something you would like me to consider on my proposal and the admin team to consider and the proposal, please email me and let me know. Because then I can look at it in the grand scheme of the big picture of the budget. So you can just email that to me or anybody else. And then the last item that was listed was disciplinary data. You had asked just to get a sense of what was there so far. Really, this is just the start of the year. And so both principals sent me their discipline data, and I'm just gonna kind of give you a quick recap. So center school has bus referrals, typical, things like being in the aisle, pushing, crawling under seats, inappropriate language, typical stuff we see on buses. Some recess referrals, inappropriate language, physical aggression, which is typically at the elementary school is pushing, it's not like slugfest. Some classroom referrals, again, inappropriate language, one non-compliance, and then a couple that are in the cafeteria. They also track, repeat offenders. So some of those referrals that I'm sharing there's some students that have multiples. And when that happens, our staff obviously knows, and they're involved, whether there needs to be behavior, something else. So that's there. HMS, there's a couple that were in for academic dishonesty, for cheating, theft of materials, unsafe behavior. There was 4 unsafe behaviors, things like running in the hallways, things like that. Aggression, same thing about like physical aggression, like pushing, things like that. Inappropriate language. There was some racial slurs that were tied to it and dealt with immediately. They came out of it. There is bullying came across, it says 3, but it's the same incident. So it's really an incident with multiple students. Some mean-spirited behavior, there's a couple damaging school property. There's a couple, and then technology issues, things like the cell phones and things like that. So overall, I would say nothing that we, don't typically see for the first month of school. Sometimes it's testing behaviors, things like that. And they also had bus referrals, moving seats, inappropriate noises, language, and they were testing the opening of the honor pouches on the buses. Those have all been addressed, and I think those behaviors go down when they know they're addressed. So those are the things that have come across for disciplinary data so far. And I'll keep you posted on what comes across in the future. My other tonight, you had asked me, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna get a response, and I did, and I didn't want to put it on the agenda in case I didn't. I got an email from the individual who was a finalist for the facilities manager position. And what I'll tell you is that person is making $60,000 plus, more than what we're offering. More. And that was plus. So, so typical private sector where there's a salary and then a bonus for, sales, things like that, whatever it is. The individual did give me some really good feedback though, and said, thought they could get someone that was really trying to advance their career, get into it in that 95 to 110 range. So our salary right now is at 80. That was this individual's thought. We did find some, recently, and I don't know if they saw the salary, but we were set for an interview today and they withdrew. So I don't know if it's the same issue. This individual that I had talked to said if they thought if we were gonna get someone with experience to hit the ground running and do things, you're in the 120 plus range. So I'm not sure if like the other, like the Con College ad that was filled, the UConn ads that were filled, the things that he thought that, we're different in the position that we have is the paperwork side of it, the grant side, the management side, not the fix-it side. And he really felt like the other ones that maybe were posted, even though they're similar in language, are more fix-it people. Fair comment, I appreciate the feedback. So it is posted in several spots, CT Reap, Indeed. Any other location we found out is gonna require a credit card payment. So I got another application today, it was not what we're looking for. So it's something that I think we leave it open for another month and wait and see. But at some point, I think we'll have to figure out if there's a different avenue we wanna take, if we wanna. You could consider taking that pot of money and doing an RFP for services to see if anybody bids on it. Will a firm that has an architect, an engineer, a project manager, would they bid on individual services? Kind of like we do for our retainer, for our attorneys, if you wanna go that route. I don't even know if the people would bid on it, I don't know. Or, because you could post it and see what you get, and then decide not to do it. And then leave it alone, take it out, boost the salary, you have a lot of choices there, so wanted to give you an update on that. And then the last thing, the teachers union WEA, negotiating committee avoided mediation and arbitration, we have a tentative settlement. We can't share details of it yet, because it's not signed, finalized. But we do have a verbal agreement, and you'll be getting more information on that pretty soon. I think overall for both sides, it was a good balance, it was a good negotiation. That's all I had.
Yes, I did. So you're advertising now for the facilities manager. Is it the 95 to 110 range?
No,
No, you're still back with the 85.
yes, because that's what we have budgeted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think if we got an applicant in, this would be my approach, honestly.
Yeah.
If we got an applicant in that, was willing to talk salary to get to that point, because it's posted, it shows 80. And they said, well, listen, I consider doing this position for. I think I'd come back to you and say, what would you like to do? Do you want to consider something different?
One other idea, talking to the Board of Selectmen and seeing if they would be interested in hiring someone together. I mean, or even the fire department.
They don't have it in their budget right now. I think if you're gonna consider that, that would be part of the conversation of what we do moving forward, if we're gonna budget for something.
When does our 85 mathematically, like if we start paying them in November, you go, I'm trying to get at here.
It is, our 80 right now is close to 110.
Okay, the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And then you fix it next budget.
Right. Cause
Okay.
really, we considered it to be a 12-month position with a number of days, and so you've already got from July to now. So it's around that ballpark.
Okay.
That's good. Thing.
It would buy us time, but I would never want to agree to hire someone without you agreeing
No.
that you're going to put it in your budget for what that money, that dollar amount would be for 12 months.
Mhm.
So.
All right, we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. Come to Willington, it's lovely here, help us out. Okay, item 8 is the financial report for October. Let's take a look at that.
So, there was some big movement in special ed, which you'll see here, but if you go through this, really in program 1, we made a minor staffing adjustment. We had the third staff support specialist, all entirely taken out of the CES program 1 budget, and it's a split position. They work in both buildings wherever they're needed. So I made sure we split it, so it bounced back a little bit at center school. What I'll tell you for both program 1 and 2, the grant funds, the title funds that we have not been applied yet. So that'll bring those budgets up some, but it's typical, like minimal changes, the staffing or the supplies that are still needed, that's what's left. At this point for program 3, all of our outplacements and transportation's encumbered. It's the earliest I've ever had this done. And big kudos to my special ed department staff for doing this. Asking for bills, trying to press, even if it's not exact, because things can change, right? Whether someone needs a pair or one-to-one or transportation changes. At least it encumbers the money so we can see what it looks like. The excess cross grant is not applied, that's like $360,000. So when you see a $375,000 deficit right now, don't panic, because excess cost is about $360,000. And then we also have the non-lapsing that's not applied yet, and that's the $62,000. I will tell you that some of our outplacement costs have gone up since the start of the year because of individual needs and through the PPT decisions. Not a ton, but they have gone up. So just an FYI for you, that's there. Good night. Program 4, the transportation, all the money for clubs and sports is now encumbered. They did that for the year. That's early for us too. We have a lot of kids participating in clubs. One thing that we're struggling with right now, and I'm sure if you're on Facebook, you see the M&J ads. We wanted 3 buses for clubs. We're kind of getting 2. Because the second bus that right now is gonna arrive at 4:15 and clubs end at 4. So I'm trying to work with M&J to fix that. It's really around personnel. They're trying to get, and if you see their ads, we're looking for drivers for Bolton, for Willington, it's a list. So if you know anybody that wants to get trained to drive a bus, please send them the M&J way. We encumbered some supplies for health services. The program 6, all the new staff, we encumbered about $5,000 for letters training. That's their literacy training for any of our newbies. Minimal change in 7, minimal change in 8, minimal change in 9, and then 10, that program still hasn't been adjusted yet for new staff. So Donna has that big picture. One thing that I was able to do, and we just got approval today, which is great. One of our employees who's waiving benefits, who's also on a grant, we had to put the benefits into the grant. And I asked for permission to move those funds out of that, or to use those funds for another position that was comparable, and the state agreed to it. So it's $27,000 that will be applied to benefits for this year that we didn't know that we had. So I'm hoping Donna will have, because it's quite a task to go through, so your November report will actually have an accurate picture for program 10, because typically that's where, if you're gonna find some savings, that's where it is. And that quickly can go below 0 as well. So we'll see. Questions about the financial report?
Is this where we were talking about the soccer field, or that's?
So it'll be next year. I overseeded the soccer field at the end of in the spring last year. And then it doesn't have sprinklers, right? So you need the rain. We had a great summer, but then everything with that, all that dry weather, it's a lot of crabgrass in there. The things that you run into when you have school fields is you're really limited on fertilizing and lime and all that business. You can't put it down at certain times. And then when you have 2 teams practicing on it, it just wears down. And so I went to watch a soccer game after negotiations for a few minutes one night, and it was literally like a dust bowl. I mean, you could just see dust in the air. So I'm trying to figure out if I've got to connect with a landscaper and see if he has thoughts on what we can do. The field needs rest, which it typically gets, because it's not a great soccer field. So it'll rest from post soccer season. The problem is its soccer season ends too late to seed again. But it really doesn't need overseeding as much as it needs probably some topsoil and leveling, and it needs some grass seed at that point in time. I just don't know if it'll be a good window to do it for fall of next year.
Who's in charge of mowing that? Do we use the landscaper to do the
Yes.
other fields for the town?
Correct.
Did they start, I'm just trying to remember something so I don't misspeak. I thought that either in this budget season or last budget season, they switched their contract to do something else, do you know what I'm talking about?
So they adjusted, they couldn't adjust too much, because it was based on the RFP. But
Okay.
we can pay for additional services through them.
Yeah, because they weren't mowing as much or something like that, cause I remembered something about the parks, do you know what I'm talking
I
about?
do.
The Parks and Rec
It's like a
side, and
number
we
of
thought they were
times.
mowing every
Yeah.
other week, and then they didn't have to, and then there was something about that I thought we were messing around with their contract.
Yeah, and they balance out, so if we get a ton of rain, when they get in, and if we, grass grows faster,
They
they'll
just
get in
do
there
like
and
an
mow.
as needed type of thing.
When it's 4 weeks with no rain at the end of the summer, or from summer till probably September. That's where they're not gonna mow the dust bowl, but they take care of basically both schools for us
Yeah.
and the town side of it.
I don't know if this is a dumb question real quick, have we ever, would we be able to consider doing like an all clover field, or does it have to be grass? Cause I've heard really great things about clover needing less maintenance, it stays green.
I think if it stays green and it's not a dust bowl and we're not playing
It's supposed to
professional
be
soccer out
really,
there. It's whatever's gonna be hardy.
Yeah,
We need
you
something
never
that's
have
gonna
to
be hardy.
water it, there's more root systems, so less of erosion, I mean, it might be something interesting.
Yeah. So the big thing I'm not sure what year he's in his contract, if they're up this year. But part of what you were talking about that we need to do long term. This is such a pain, but like, we don't have even Jimmy for Parks and Rec, trying to find someone to line the fields.
Mhm.
And then take care of the fields. There's a volunteer who does Sunday baseball, adult baseball out here, who goes out there and cuts the infield and weeds it and does a lot of work out there because he wants the baseball field to look good. And this baseball field looks great. The landscaper has offered to create that as part of, in the future contract, when we do an RFP, to say, and manage all the fields,
Mhm.
not just mowing, but, and I'm not necessarily talking about putting down lines, but things like, topsoil. He wanted to buy, a cover for the softball field to kill all the weeds, things like that. Like, he's got ideas and he knows how to do it,
Right.
it's just not in his contract right now.
Bill, two things. I don't know what it's called, but those machines that kind of pull aerators, thank you. I know they do that in Mansfield.
He aerated and overseeded, that's
He
what he
did
did,
that already,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
The other thing is, what about if you hired someone that does golf courses?
So there's a ton of people that will do it, the
Mhm.
question is, can they use the chemicals and things that they wanna use at a school? Cause we are limited.
And how much you want to
That's
spend.
what I'm saying, like,
Golf
the
course
clover,
managers are
the clover might be nice,
Yep.
Yeah,
but it stays green all the time, doesn't use much, I know a lot of people are doing that with their lawns now, they're taking out the grass, they're just doing straight clover.
Yeah.
Last
and it
year.
spreads.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have to have a conversation with him to see long-term if there's any thoughts about it,
great, I'm sure it'd be obviously like an upfront thing, cause you have to pull all the
yeah. But
sod out.
it might be something where we have to, close that field for a while in the spring, which hurts recess, but. In how you do that with softball, because they hit into that field, that's another thing, like, you're limited in your window. We have to send all softball games away, which is not necessarily a good thing in my opinion. So. So still sharing.
Grass clover coming up tonight, but here we are.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Okay, we're moving on to, new business. The first thing being, suspending the policy 5131 to 81, personally owned electronic mobile devices used in school. What are we?
I can start there.
doing with that?
So, I just put it on the screen for you here. If I can zoom this. Oh, didn't want to do that, my bad. So I talked to the board attorney about this, following negotiations, and just said, what are your thoughts on this? Actually, there's a bunch in here that's quite fine, that we could just live, this is, bring your own device. It's the first line that, really goes against what we've done. And so her suggestion is,
I guess that's it.
what we suggest is taking this, policy and basically just stopping it until indefinitely. And that would allow you to, if you wanna come back and edit, do something with this policy, you could do that and a cell phone policy, which is the second next thing on the agenda. But her recommendation is, because of that first line there, is to pause this policy indefinitely, so no one can say, but you have this and you're doing this, and then it go against each other. So,
Pika.
that's the thought.
See if somebody's down here before I set the alarm on.
Yeah, please don't.
I won't.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
I'll do the whole building. So, if you do that, it just allows you in the future, if you wanna eliminate it, modify it, change it, whatever in the future, you can do that, but, that is her recommendation, is to suspend this policy.
So then I have a procedural question. Can you suspend this policy and then, let's say, implement another policy with the exact same number? Wouldn't implementing that new policy override that one, like remove it essentially?
You would eventually, if you got to that point and you said, we're just going to get rid of this, you would say, the new policy is completely replacing the old policy.
Did we talk about adding a letter or something?
Well, that's what you have to figure out with the balance of the two.
Okay,
So that needs action if you wanna do it.
we need to vote to suspend it. Okay.
Need a motion.
Alright, so then I'll move that the Willington Board of Education suspend current policy 5131.81 personally owned electronic mobile devices in schools.
Second.
Any reason to discuss? All right, if you're in favor, please say aye.
I,
Everyone, so we will pass that along. All right, thank you. Next is, how do I say this one? The actual, the current standing 5131.81 cellular phones, electronic communication devices policy.
The draft of for
Okay,
new cellular phone and electronic communication devices, the draft of to implement what you've got coming in place. So I think Brenda sent this to you, I hope.
yeah.
So this is your first read. This was, just to give you a quick backstory on this. CABE has a bunch of model policies. Some people put this in their policy, some people don't put it in the policy, they just use it in their handbook. The CABE model policies were like 26 pages long, but they accounted for a lot of different scenarios. So the scenario that you're using, that is basically off and away, even if you're going to change away from yonder pouches, it allows you to keep this. You could consider changing it, which is why we said, which may include restrictive use devices such as yonder pouch. That's in there. The changes that I think the policy committee made were things like decisions by an administrator or their designee. The authorized use of devices is specific to some legal items, really around IEPs, 504 healthcare medical plan, someone with diabetes. We have Velcro pouches just for that purpose, that they would have access, but it would be part of their plan. You've got the health and safety emergency reasons that's on there again. That's the building principal or their designee. Things like school trips when they go to DC and they have their phone on the weekend, or are they allowed to use their phone to take pictures? Things like that, that would be at the discretion of the building principal. Maybe there's phone-free times and phone access times, things like that, or, how they use it. The transportation, is something that's on there, and I think it was Arthur that said it's one thing that we were really monitoring on the admin side to see if they have access to their phones, right, on the bus. We want to see if it's going to be an issue going forward, meaning if we have 30 referrals in a month on the bus and 29 of them have to do with cell phones, you might need to come back to that one. And see if there's an adjustment we need to make, that it needs to be off and away. It doesn't mean you can use the yonder pouches there, but just some sort of piece to look at. And then the after-school programming that's on there, that was one of the concerns that parents had. At the end of the day, my kids go into a club or a sport, can they have access to my phone? I'm running late, or they can, tell them who's picking them up, things like that. They do have access to their phone, but it also allows the club advisor or the coach to say it needs to be off and away until it's time to take it out. It doesn't mean it's locked in the yonder pouch. And then that other reasons, it's like in the job description, and all of the things as determined. Is the same thing, other reasons that are identified by the building principal or the designee. It does have a section in there about unauthorized use during the instructional day, and it's really about misuse. Is that we wanted to make sure we had something in there, and then that really the responsibility and liability is on them. Policy committee want to add anything to that?
Yeah.
Do you want this up or do you want me to take it?
You can leave it up, it doesn't make a difference. So I just wanna say first that I read every email that came in from everybody who emails, and most of them I read at least 2 or 3 times. So the feedback is that definitely does not go unread or unnoticed. One of the things that got to me was the concern about, if something were to happen, is this the best way to go? And while we were doing this, I want everybody to know I had went through some very uncomfortable scenarios in my head as to what would an emergency look like. And everyone that I went through, this seemed like the best idea because there was nothing else that could stop it. So it's really not, this really wouldn't hinder any real emergency scenarios, at least not in my mind. It was not fun. I don't wish anybody else to do that, but I felt it was important to consider before doing this. With that being said, I know we can't add it to the policy, but I'm thinking about if we implement something for the lockdown drills or for the lockdown procedures, not the drills, the procedures, that in the gathering place in the classroom, there be some sort of tool that could cut the pouches open. If there was a true lockdown, if there was a true emergency, so that way, if the kids can get their phones and, if it's a true emergency and we have to, below $6,500 in grant money to cut open pouches, and I'm fine with it, you know what I mean? But that seemed to be a concern a lot of parents had, and I think that might be a way to mitigate that concern, is that if it is really an emergency and they're in the gathering place or something, they'll just start slicing pouches.
Can I say something about that that's maybe gonna be super duper unpopular? In the case of a true emergency, we want our students focused on the staff and listening to what the staff is directing them to do. And I don't want those children distracted by opening the yonder pouches, getting their phones out, trying to call their mom, whatever. I, of course, as with my parent hat on, I want my kid to tell me as soon as possible because I need to do something, right? That's I think how any parent would feel. But from my teacher hat, I need my kids to focus on what I'm telling them to do. We might have to move locations. I might need to tell them to get down behind things. They might need to come with me quickly. They might have to go with a different adult. And that is way more important than them getting on their phones. And so could we just consider that also when we're going through these kind of thoughts?
You also need quiet. You need absolutely quiet when you're in a situation like that.
Well, if your point is the gathering place, right? Is that yeah. So if you watched any of the footage from one of the last school shootings that occurred, and it was at a high school, and the students were in they were in their athletic stadium and they were in bleachers. The incident was done. The police had everything under control. And those students were on their phones at that point. I bet prior to that point, they were not allowed to, because of that movement. You've got to pay attention. You've got to know if you need to be silent. You don't want a phone ringing because a phone ringing is, hey, guess where that person is? All of those situations, are really hard to think about, but it's probably the safest thing in that situation. The alerting authorities, I think we have things in our lockdown plan, in our safety plan, that we can contact authorities very fast in our schools, in both schools. And I don't get into those things because I don't want to give things away. But it's not just our cell phones. So there's a lot of methods that we can use, so.
Teachers still have access to their cell phones if they needed to.
They do.
You know, report something from the classroom.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't want a teacher, if they made a call, I wouldn't want their phone ringing or making noise either.
Right.
Because it can put people's lives at risk. And those are tough conversations to have, but it's reality.
I mean, I wasn't suggesting that they get their phones to alert authorities, it was just, it was a parent thing.
No, I know what I know exactly what you're saying.
So we do agree that if the children get from the school to the safe place, at that point, then.
And that's the principal or designee
Access,
saying which is why the collection of those devices, and they're practicing it with fire drills when they go outside. If we went outside for a fire drill, I mean, it's much easier to say, hey, can you see if you can reach your mom and put them on the phone right now and tell them, hey, we can't reach someone. It gives us another opportunity to do that. But we can open their pouches outside with the 6 magnets that we have. And if by chance we couldn't get them, you cut them open, you tear them open, you do what you need to do to get them out.
Kids know how to open them.
You ask the kids.
They do, and I will say that our student body across the board has been outstanding. I mean, we've had some things where kids have tried to be sneaky, and they've gotten caught, and the other kids know it, and there's been consequences, there's been tampering. And she's doing spot checks, and it's keeping people honest, it's keeping students honest, and if you're doing your job, you don't have anything to worry about, so, I think from the standpoint, again, I talk about what I see on those cameras in the cafeteria, and when I see kids talking to each other. That didn't happen so much in the past. It was, I'm on my phone, I'm taking a bite, I might say something to a friend, but a lot of heads down. If you look at that college campus thing, it's just drives you crazy right now.
And how are the teachers? What is their response to the learning environment with them?
They love it. Yeah, they love it. Yeah, they're not having to manage, can you put your phone away, can you put your phone away, can you put your phone away? Not having to manage that and actually just focusing on the teaching, is a big thing.
I checked in with a few teachers at Paul's curriculum night, and they said there was much more engagement and social back and forth. They were really pleased with it, so.
Which takes away that, I think your mind may be on your what's going on in the classroom, but it's still thinking about, somebody might text you and listen for that day, and now that's gone, and the focus can be more.
I was in the library yesterday, at Hall, and I was setting up for a meeting, and there was a group in there. There was 2, I can't remember the name of what it is in their schedule. It's like Flex or something like that. There was a group that was reading together, and basically 2 classes in there. And I was sitting at the library table, setting up the owl for the meeting and testing things out. And I felt weird because my phone was on the table. And I was using my phone to control the owl. But the conversations I heard, and I actually talked to the teacher afterwards. I said, I wanted to know who a student was. I didn't know who they were. And the conversation that this boy was having with one of the girls about solving a math problem was one of the greatest things that it was like awesome. It was amazing. It was amazing. And I made sure the teachers knew that. And I even said to the student, like, that was a great explanation. I don't know that those explanations and those conversations would happen as often with that cell phone out. So, and just makes a difference.
Might be interesting to see if it affects any bullying or just other disciplinary measures too.
Yeah.
Well, there's a way to track that, but.
No, we know when there are phones involved and usually mean-spirited behavior is messages. And they can still occur outside of school and they can come into school and
Right,
still be
but-
considered bullying. But we've also had that stuff happen in school. And so if those incidents disappear and they're only outside of school, that's good information too. So.
Yeah, so I think overall, I mean, I'm very happy with the policy, the way it came out. I think Jill did a good job writing it. I think we did a good job with the addition, and I think it's a good step forward.
Okay, so I looked at this thing so many times, I don't know where we're at with the read, so this is the draft form still?
So this is the rest of the board's first opportunity to review it and ask questions and see if you think there's something that we're missing or something that, should be changed. And then next meeting, you would have the opportunity to vote on it.
Okay, so go ahead and take a look over it, and you can email if you have any, Cool. All right, next we're gonna look at the draft 2025-26 Willington Schools calendar.
I know this seems really early, sorry.
Yeah. We just got here.
So, I have a superintendent meeting coming up and we are already, talking calendar. I think we did a really good job regionally last year of aligning, to the point of, the October 15th professional development. We were actually invited to Mansfield's PD. It just didn't work out that we were gonna go. They paid for a very expensive speaker, who was an educational expert. And we were invited because we had the same day. So we want to make sure we can align those things again. What I'm really looking for from you, it's a really, when I say draft, like this is like giant draft. I have not gone through this really too much at all. What I'm asking from your perspective is, this is modeled after this year's calendar. Are there any items that you would like to discuss or to consider that I should bring to that regional superintendent's meeting? Because, if you say, hey, we'd really like to change this, as long as it's within the contract, I need to share that with them. It gets to PD days, it gets to transportation, when you share transportation with Region 19 some. The start date doesn't really matter too much. The number of days doesn't really matter too much because of contracts. But if there's significant things that you would want to adjust in here, I would want to bring those to that meeting for discussion.
We have these, Friday half-day PDs a lot again. So can you just, explain what kinds of PD will be going on there, just so folks who are listening know what they're working on?
Yeah, and that's something that we can consider. I have not even had this conversation with my admin team yet. It's something that is left on here because for two parts. One, if it's something that we can share common time with other districts that are around us to go up, look at things that are successful, that are working, or things that we may want to implement, or someone wants to come and see something we're implementing, or we can share PD time together. We want to do that. So our connection right now, Great Schools Partnership, we have created our own, and we're kind of trendsetters in this, to be honest with you, I think. We have created regional content area groups between Ashford, Mansfield, Willington, and Region 19. They recently met. So like there's an ELA group that's talking about reading, there's a math group, there's a science and social studies group, there's a principal group, and it's PD they're working on. They're driving a lot of the work that we're trying to do. If we share these dates with Mansfield or an Ashford or all of them, we would have the potential then to meet during those times and not have those people coming out of classrooms. Which is something I'm always cognizant of. I'm always trying to make sure that we get our PD in and that people get what they need. However, I don't always like taking people out of classrooms to do that, and trying to find that balance. So that's part one of this. Part two is we still have a brand new ELA program We have the science, elementary version, the NGSS for elementary is delayed, it's not coming out yet. That's going to be something that is science, elementary people are gonna need next year, if it comes out, if and when. There's always something that they're going to need for those half days, it's a couple of hours. And I think with the way we have built the after-school program, that balance to support parents, so it's not a burden on them, I think has been beneficial. So it's kind of those two parts, it's kind of like how we pitched a facilities director, I don't know that they're always going to be needed. But right now, I'd say they are needed between CKLA, the Amplify piece, the additions, illustrative math, and the science piece. Social studies just came out with new standards. We are not even there yet. The good thing is a lot of it's built into CKLA, but those times are really important. We built those into our big picture of how we're gonna get all the PD done that we need to get done. Does that answer your question, Brianna?
Yeah, I just wanted, we might have some new viewers, participants who might be wondering what we're doing with all those days again, so I wanted to make sure that was reiterated. Did you have a question?
Yes, are the other districts doing those early closing?
No,
Are they considering them or?
that's what we're gonna talk about.
Okay,
It's part of my pitch, and it might not be that number.
Yeah.
But if we only share certain PD days. There's certain districts that have more, there's certain districts that have less. There's certain districts that have always done their calendar a certain way and they couldn't stray from it. But if we could pick a couple of those consistent, even if we had 3, it allows us to bring in something big. I'm gonna be honest with you, if you wanna go into a good line of work, some of these educational speakers are charging $6,000-7,000 for a 6-hour period. Plus you pay their travel, plus you pay their hotel. I mean, it's big bucks. Some of them are really, really worth it. That's not necessarily what I'm getting at, but if you wanted to do something like that and you're sharing the cost and you could go to a Mansfield Middle School and all fit in the auditorium, or the high school and all fit in the auditorium and it's applicable, you have the opportunity to do that if you share those days. So that's the reason we look at those things.
Many, many moons ago, that used to happen. And those 3 towns would get together and actually go to EO to have shared PD. And it was really nice because although our districts are very different, we also have a lot of similarities, so we could learn from each other, help each other out. And it was really nice to get to see those people too. So I would love to be able to do that again and collaborate, especially like, we have just the one preschool teacher in our town, so she's like a lone wolf. Who is she to bounce her ideas off of? So if she can meet some other preschool teachers, especially from our region, that would be very helpful. Not to say that she needs help, she's fabulous and it's great, but just as an example. And especially for our science and social studies educators, that's getting a little bit wild and woolly right now, so all that new stuff, it'd be really good for them to have the opportunity, so I hope that works out. Okay, so are we voting on this today or?
No. This is just, if you see anything on there that you're like, ooh, I'd really like to not do that next year, or I'd really like to change that. It would, and even, you could even email it to me, I think I meet with them on the 23rd.
Okay.
So if you had any feedback that was specific to the calendar, that would be beneficial for my conversation, I would appreciate it if you could share that. It doesn't mean you can't say something afterwards. But, I wanna go into that conversation with them with some thoughts.
one other thing, we no longer have a curriculum coordinator. So this might be a time that staff could work on those social studies and science curriculum.
Right.
And also maybe, collaborate with the other 2 schools,
Yeah.
to kind of do that work together.
Yeah, even though they're different programs, science of reading is the science of
Same
reading.
standards.
So trying to,
Okay, so we'll see that again. I'm very curious to see what those other districts.
You might not vote on that until December.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's very, very early, but I just want to make sure that if you were gonna change something drastic, I wanted to know about that.
Super excited that Halloween will be on Friday. We could just keep that, that would be super.
That's a teacher cover right there.
Yes, it is. Okay, we are gonna take a look at the regular meeting minutes from September tenth. We need to make some motions here to pass those on through. Anybody wanna?
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from September 10th, 2024.
I'll second.
Any comments or edits?
Yeah, so when we were talking with Stephanie about, her cafeteria presentation, the question that I asked was not in the minutes. The only reason I bring that up is because if it was an important distinction, because I asked her, you know, if she had unlimited funds, what else would she improve? And the answer wasn't food, it was equipment. And I think that's kind of important for people to know that she feels has the best food available, for the kids, so. Just to have that in there.
The presentation of food service began on page 4, it was item 5. Okay. And she had talked about.
Yeah, but she was already doing that, so it's one of those things where it's like, she felt like she was already doing the best she could for the kids with the food, now, so I think that's good to know.
Okay, anybody else? Right, we're ready to take this to a vote then. If you agree to accept these minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any extensions or nays? Good, all right, we're passing that on through also. Great. 9E, policy committee meeting minutes from September 25th. Those were in the back of our packet.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that the Board of Education approve the policy committee meeting minutes from September 25th.
You second.
Second.
I want one of the spinner. Okay, any discussion? No, okay, that group is just moving right along, fabulous. Okay, if you're in favor of, oh, what?
You have to vote.
We're done.
Oh.
Are you ready? I know you're excited, okay. If you, agree to approve these minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Great, that's gonna go ahead and carry that also. Okay, 10, old business, Q&A facility study. We do have the school repair presentation this Thursday on October 10th at Hall School at 7 p.m. in the library.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you had a chance to talk a little bit of logistics. I still have not seen him. I actually have a call with Rusty tomorrow for that final grid that we're talking about. I will send that as soon as I have it, so you can see it. Kind of column 4, column 5 was what we were talking about. But logistic wise, we posted an agenda because that's what we did with the SBC. So I just posted, we got an agenda out there. It's meant to be Q&A. You don't need to have a quorum, so if you don't go, the meeting's still gonna be there, it's still gonna happen. You could attend online or in person. I didn't know if you wanted to talk as a board about answering questions, if you want Rusty to answer the majority of questions. If it's about the report, if it's not about the report and it's big picture, do you want Brianna to do that as the chair? Do you want me to answer questions? I'm not sure. If you want to get into that, the logistics piece of that. I don't know if there's gonna be 5 people there or 100. I did invite all the board of selectmen, all the board of finance, all of the CIP committee. They got personal invitations. Tammy Nuccio is supposed to be there. Jeff Gordon is supposed to be there. Somebody else I ended up inviting, another politician, couldn't go. But I just want to make sure, like, answering questions, because it's not set up like the board is at the front. It's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be Rusty basically with the owl. I'll sit next to him just to control the Zoom. But he's gonna do the presentation on the board. I will have packets out of the full presentation. I think it will cost us a little bit of money to print a bunch. That's, the more we can get out there, the better. And so, that is kind of logistically where I'm at in my head. I don't know if you want seats in the front. I don't know. It's like, you've seen this report. Does that make sense? Do you want seats on the side? Do you want to attend? Do you? I wasn't sure if you wanted to go through any of those logistics.
I don't know how you feel, Brianna, but I feel like if So you and Rusty are probably the most knowledgeable in terms of answering questions, especially if they're technical or financial in nature. So that might be,
I think the more questions he can answer about
yeah,
their report, the better. I don't wanna answer those questions. If it's about, my feeling is if it's about the report, something specific to the report, he should be answering all of those questions. And I think he knows that. I don't know if there would be questions about prior reports and studies and work.
are we going to have, we had talked about updating the numbers from the previous.
That's what we're
Okay,
doing,
he's-
yeah.
That's the.
That one
chart.
slide where it's like,
Perfect.
yeah, so it's actually apples to apples,
Okay,
and what it would be cost today. And an actual based upon the 83,000 square feet, not the 63 that we're eligible for.
So this will be a Zoom meeting too?
So we're doing it on Zoom so we can record it.
Right.
So that way, anybody that can't attend, because I know one of the selectmen said I can't attend, but I'd love to see the recording. Please, you know, if you can share it afterwards, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm sure. Someone had reached out to me saying that they were gonna miss it, but I know it's something that they would like to attend, so.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have it be online for them to either watch while it's going, if they're able to, or watch it, you know, people watch it later on, so.
Yeah.
so that way everyone has the opportunity to see it. No one can say, I didn't know.
Right, the presentation is gonna be on the website by itself. Or it's not the presentation, it's the whole facility stuff document will be there.
Mhm.
And then the recording will be on the website, with this full presentation, so.
As far as, printing too many copies or extra copies, I will say, I mean, we are in election season and there is campaigning going on at the transfer station, and I know that, people have asked about the status of that. I'm sure that we'd be happy to take extra copies to have at the tent to give to people if they want, if they stop by, if you made extras, like, I wouldn't worry, I think we could get you some of the extra copies that you have.
My feeling is the more this document is in the hands of the people, of the town, in our community here, then the better, so. You wanna give them to your neighbors? Give you copies, if it's at the transfer station, we were gonna put some, once it's complete, we're gonna put some upstairs, we'll put some on the counter over here, we'll put some at the library. Wherever we can get them out. So there's a paper version of it as well as the digital version.
Will you be using the Promethean board that's in there?
Yeah,
So you thought about.
it's not super large, but you're gonna have the exact presentation in your hands. And it's not as good as the large, screen we had in the gym, but the acoustics in the gym were just
Yeah.
not good. You can actually work in the library with just the owl. We're gonna test it one more time with a microphone, but I don't think we're gonna need it. Because it actually is loud when you walk away from the owl and it's not this owl. When you're 20 feet away, you can ask a question. We'll have a podium where people can come up to stand and ask questions, and then they can get a response. That's kind of how we're thinking we're gonna run it. Just makes sense.
You're gonna have like a sign up board like there were in the past, or.
I'll have it
the turnout is.
prepared, but we'll see what the turnout is. Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's not like, it's not intended to be, I don't wanna spend $1, I don't wanna do this project, it's meant to ask questions about the study, I think. We'll see what we get.
Will we have
So what do
people?
Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry. Continue.
I was just gonna say, is there any need for like a mediator or anything like that?
I think I'm gonna do that portion. The one question I think that if we have 150 people that all wanna talk, we caught some flack in the SBC about limiting the time. You can't keep Rusty there till 11 o'clock, in my opinion.
Right.
So, if you want to go off of your board policy, which is 5 minutes, you could keep it to 5 minutes. I don't know that. You could also do the presentation and do a special meeting down the road once more people have seen it and just say, what questions do you have now? And answer, but you wouldn't have Rusty.
I know, same with that, and you have to bring Rusty, but.
Yeah,
I think it's good to While it's fresh in everybody's minds, you know, to have the questions tomorrow. You know, just rather than you had.
Let them
mentioned
answer,
bringing
yeah,
it
yeah.
down the road.
It's just
Yeah.
how long, like, 5 minutes is a long time.
It is. I was
Maybe
thinking
make
two
it
or
three.
Would just say, try to keep to a reasonable time, and then I think you would have the authority to just be like, all right, you know, someone's talking about other things, or they're way over it, I think you.
Yeah, I mean, I can run the timer just like we normally do.
But I don't even know.
It's a visual, that's your policy, it's your meeting, that's why.
Right, but that's the policy for president to speak, not for
It
questions.
is, and that's why it's
So
like, do you
that's
want, it's why, do you
Yeah.
wanna do something different?
I just feel like I would give you the control of, you know, someone asks 19 questions, but they're all valid questions, let them do it. But if somebody asks 3 questions and 2 of them have nothing to do with anything, it's like, all right, well, can we go to
Yeah.
people who have questions about the presentation?
Yeah.
And that's my feeling.
Yeah, if people are stuck on the path, sorry. If people are stuck on the path talking about that, and not what Rusty's there for that night,
Right.
you would have that discretion to.
I think that's expected, that people will
Oh,
have
yeah.
some of that to bring up, and that's okay. You know, if that's where you're stuck, okay, like, let's move forward from there, that's part of the point of it, right? Can we have people introduce themselves when they do speak, just so that if there's something we can't answer in the moment, we know who to get back to?
They have to,
They
yeah.
have to anyway,
Yes.
okay. And then I was gonna say, maybe having, note cards with pencils or pens available, so people could write down thoughts or questions. And make sure they write, or we make copies of something so that says like your name and your contact information, because not everyone's comfortable speaking up, or also they might be like, okay, this is going on for 3 hours, somebody can just email me this later.
And we can collect those, I mean,
Yeah,
they
just
can
have like a
just turn
little
it,
jar or whatever,
they can do it anytime, they don't have to come up to the podium to ask a question. They
Yeah.
can just turn it in.
that kind of helps a little
Yeah.
bit too.
Then we could create a frequently asked question.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, depending on what we get for
addendum,
need.
you know. You know, I think it might be a good idea for those of us that are present to sit in the front together to show our support. As
I
a
say
board.
complete opposite.
Oh, you said the opposite?
I would come on the side, yeah, because
Yeah.
I support it and I'm there to help, but also, like, I don't need to see it, they need, and I was
Yeah.
just
Well, I
writing, you
mean,
know,
we could
actually,
sit
like,
anywhere in the room,
Yeah.
but together so that we're showing support as a group.
I mean, there is something to the visualization of solidarity.
let's get matching t-shirts, you know, I always want t-shirts. I was gonna say something too, and hopefully I don't need to, about, letting folks who need to be able to see or hear sit in the front. That's just common courtesy and respect for our elders and folks who need that, so hopefully I won't have to say so, but that was a thought as well. I will be there. I'd be more than happy to do a brief introduction, introduce myself, welcome everybody, thank them for coming, and just do a little bit of that housekeeping stuff.
Perfect.
And we can talk a little bit about like backstory history, if you want me to, because talk a little bit about like how we got here. Not like the nitty gritty of what's been going on for the last 102 years or whatever, but like how we got here. And kind of where we are with asking people, what do you want to do here? Because we can't just the seven of us make these decisions without their input, so. I can do something like that at the start, and then I'll take my place with my colleagues. Is that okay? Sound good?
Makes sense
Is
to me.
anyone not cool with that?
The couch is off to the side.
Yeah.
They're all gonna be hidden, I think. But we're trying to set it up so it's like a little bit of a beat.
Yeah.
So that way, you know, people are more intimate. You
Don't
know,
we
so it's meant to be conversational.
Air conditioner works well in there, so we should.
It is.
Don't we have little badgie jam?
Did we give them, did we give you, do you still have
A
them?
while ago.
But we
had little.
I had stickers at.
Brenda can do badges.
Just something to.
Yep.
We had
Not a
little
snack
next
t-shirt.
We'll do some new ones.
You
I
know.
don't know,
Yeah.
good looking badge.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page and you had a chance to talk through it as a board, so that way it wasn't a surprise when you got there.
Okay, where are you planning to go, John?
Yeah,
I don't
I'll be
put you
there.
On the spot. Yeah, yeah, there's, whatever, I don't feel like there's a right answer, I just wanted to know.
And you can't attend via Zoom.
Right.
Cause you have to, if you do attend via Zoom, just make sure your name's on there so we can see that you were there in person, you know, you were there. Cause we have to do minutes for it and we have to record it as it was a Board of Ed meeting.
Oh, okay, this is an official meeting.
It is like, it's called to order and then it's, I mean, we did I don't remember what we wrote on the agenda, but it was basically, discussion, presentation, discussion.
Yeah, so I have to kick it off anyway because we have to.
Right, I could do that, but it comes better if it's you.
That's the
I'd
second
love-
time in the last few weeks, you were like.
Yeah,
well. You're brave.
We're tired of
No,
hearing
I
from you
will
about
get-
schools, I think.
They're singing, I don't know. Alright, okay, so we'll do that. I'll try to get there a little bit earlier too, so that if there's anything weird with the chairs
Yeah.
caption, whatever, you know. Okay, do you have anything else you want to know about that? You're sending us the grid ahead of time.
Yeah, as soon as I get it.
Okay, item 11, present to speak. If anybody there who wanted to comment or, share your thoughts, questions, ideas, you can go ahead and raise your
They can also
Hand
unmute themselves.
or unmute. Thumbs up. All right, thank you. Board comments. I'll start just by saying I listened closely to our student representatives tonight. And I really liked when the students from Senate were talking about integrity. That's kind of a tricky word for kids to understand. It's a tricky word for some grown-ups to understand. So I like that they're focusing on that. And that's a good one for us to keep in mind as a group. I think we do a really good job of that, actually. So that would be just a good word to have in your mind. And then trunk or treat, there's like 8,000 ways you can volunteer. You can set up, you can clean up, you can do a trunk, you can bring candy to the candy monsters at the schools and the libraries. You can call them and ask them, what do they need? What can we do? So let's make that an awesome event for everybody. Our PTA is so awesome. Did anybody else have any comment they wanted to make with this?
Yep.
Okay.
So my first comment is, it is basketball season. Youth basketball signups are out there, and speaking as a basketball coach, I want to see more kids sign up, and I actually spoke with James at Parks and Rec, and he gave me the okay to let everybody know that youth basketball does come with a cost. However, if there are budgetary issues for families, that's not going to be a hindrance. If there's any concern about that whatsoever, don't worry about it. Just email James. His email's at the bottom of the sign up sheet, which is on the website, or I think that's in the digital backpacks too. And he'll get that taken care of. So there's no roadblocks if your kids want to come play basketball. I'm hoping to get a bunch more to sign up, speaking personally. And since we won't be meeting before election day, I want to remind everybody, and I don't think anybody knows more closely than I do how much one vote matters, but even if you don't think it matters, come out and vote, because it always matters. It doesn't matter who you vote for, it definitely matters that you vote.
For sure. Life left. All right, anybody else?
I want to send a shout out to Steve from Novus. Is it Steve from Novus?
Could be.
Yeah, who helped me today get back online with my Board of Ed account,
Let me help.
back onto my phone. So I really did appreciate that. So
Welcome
thank you.
back.
Yay, Novus.
Well, right there. Are you okay? Super. We're ready for a motion for adjournment at 8:28.
Move on the journey.
You guys want to rock, paper, scissors? Thanks. We need a second.
Second.
Super. In favor?
Right.
Yeah, you're great. All right, we are adjourning 8:28 PM. Thank you for joining us.
That's one of our.
That's only 11.